And how many of you know the hardest part of getting good information is actually implementing? If you've dealt with that, you've gotten really good information in the past, but it's really difficult for you to implement sometimes, then just drop a yes in the comments. Drop a yes in the comments. And one thing that really helps people to get results during the challenge and actually start pitching is the fact that there's so much accountability, that you're doing it with a group of people. How many of you did the challenge and thought that it was great because you knew it was only 3 days and people were right there with you to kind of help you make that transition? All right. Okay, yes, I'm seeing the yeses come through in the chat. Excellent, excellent, excellent. What it's going to take for you to continue pitching, for you to continue getting these results, is a lot of self-accountability if you cannot afford to invest in your business and work with us further through any of our programs. You're going to have to do it all yourself. So that means you're going to have control over a few things that may come up against you. But first, what's one thing you've implemented since the challenge? What's one thing you've implemented since the challenge? What have you done? I think it's helpful for us to keep in mind that we are doing things now and celebrate the fact that things have gotten done even right now. Emailed LinkedIn connections, more intentional about LinkedIn connections, looking for contacts on LinkedIn, reaching out to over 20 people who could pay me. Excellent, Allie. There's a lot of you who have done things since the challenge. We had so many testimonials in the group. I've sent emails to LinkedIn connections and started planning virtual webinars. Love that. Savani is an Academy alum, so she knows about our system. Talk to my accountability buddy, recognizing my connections and how many levels I can go. Really good. Creating a plan to locate and connect with more people on LinkedIn. Love that. Email connections, asked for introductions, and sent my speaker sheet as requested. Really cool. Great. So you all have gotten some wins already. You've started doing activities. And for those of you that are newer to me, then you should know, is anyone here new? Like, is this the challenge was your first experience with me? If so, just drop new in the chat. Okay, cool. So we got some new folks here. Excellent. Okay, so this is your first time. So look, one thing I talk about is activity goals versus I don't know if you call them regular goals, but activity goals are essentially things that you do that will help you reach your final destination. So you've got to focus on activity goals, and I believe you should celebrate activity goals as well, which means that instead of being like, oh, I want to hit $1 million, and if you hit $1 million in revenue, then you celebrate. You would actually celebrate the fact that you pitched $10 million in contracts. That's an activity goal. That's a goal that's within our control. What happens, and the reason why everyone loves social media is because our brain loves instant gratification. So we love when we can put up a post and people instantly like it. It shows us that we're doing something good. And so we're far more willing to just, celebrate that. But we don't celebrate actual activity goals, which are the little things you have to do every single day leading up to leading up to the actual event that you want to happen, your big goal, your revenue goal. So we got to celebrate activity goals. So congrats to you all for actually taking action during the challenge. You guys are our circle, our VIP action taking circle that are here this morning for our final hurrah. So really exciting. So let's see the factors you're fighting against to actually implement. One is going to be your schedule. Your schedule is a big factor. For a lot of people who I work with, let me tell you who I work with. I work with high achieving, highly educated, oftentimes very busy people who want to take all the expertise they've gained and monetize it. Does that sound like any of you? That sounds like you. Drop a me in the chat. Most of my clients have gone to college. They've gotten advanced degrees. They've worked in a corporate setting or educational setting, and they've achieved some things, but at the same time, they're not getting the money they want to get. In fact, some of them even have student loans, me included, and you spend all this money on your degrees, and now you're looking for something to teach you something that your degrees did not teach you, which is sales, marketing, and positioning. And so they come to me from that vantage point. And not everyone is super highly educated. We have some folks who are just some rock star entrepreneurs who've achieved a lot in that vein as well. So either by education or experience, they are highly qualified entrepreneurs. And Here's the kicker though. When you're like that, when you're someone who is really qualified, who has a lot going on, who's been able to achieve a lot of things, what that means is you likely have a very busy schedule. You're doing a lot of things. And what can happen if you're not careful, because I know about being busy. When I was in law school, so when I first started law school, I was working a full-time job, going to law school, and I was a brand new wife. I was super busy. Then I got into law school, still worked. I worked all through law school, and then, I had to work while in law school, started speaking while in law school, still was doing part-time ministry at my church. Me and my husband would travel around the Illinois area and minister and preach and speak. It's like we were doing so much. And then when I graduated, I worked at a firm where I didn't have, some people have 9 to 5s. I had anytime we need you to work. That was my job. It wasn't a 9 to 5. So I've always lived a life where my schedule had certain demands on my time. Now it's a lot better, actually, as an entrepreneur. I still work quite a bit, but it's nowhere near how I used to work. So when people people are like, oh, well, no one understands being an entrepreneur. You can't work a job and do this. Nah, you can. Y'all just didn't work them kind of jobs. I don't know about, maybe y'all got 9 to 5s. I had all the time. Okay. It was no barriers to entry on the job that I had. So I know what it's like to be busy. How many of you are busy? Just drop busy in the chat. Drop busy in the chat. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Ain't nobody judging. We all have things to do. Busy. Okay, great. Because I specialize in working with people who are busy. I specialize in it. Those are the people that I work with in the academy. No one if I were to show you the folks in the academy, I put up a graphic not too long ago, and you just saw what they do, who they are. You'd be like, oh my gosh, they have to all be so busy. They are. They're busy people. I specialize in working with busy people. So your schedule is going to be a factor fighting against your business success. It's gonna, but I made myself stop and chill sometimes. I get it. You got to do that. I do that on vacation. That's why I take so many vacations. But so you have to do that, guys. So your schedule is a big piece of it, which means what I had to do as a busy person, I would choose a time where no one could reach me, and that's when I would do my work. So what do I mean by that? That meant I would wake up at 5 a.m. and before everyone woke up, before social media was popping, before my husband had questions, before my daughter, I now have a 1-year-old. So there you go, add busy on top of the baby. Before she wakes up, I would wake up and get work done. I would wake up and have silent time. The other thing I had to do was batch. I had to batch. I had to batch. When I had time, I would focus on one area of my business and I would get as much work done as possible. I moved out of the country to be less busy. VJ, that actually is a really good point, because I genuinely feel like when we're in other countries, it is just more chill. It's just more chill. If you all can still see me and hear me, okay, just drop a good in the chat. Drop a good in the chat. I want to see it. Okay, good. All right. So BJ, hope your audio comes back. But yeah, so that's a really important factor. So your schedule. So you need to, if you're going to commit to the pitching life, then what you need to do right now is figure out how, and then Lael, if you can let people in, that would be amazing. If you can let people in who are in the waiting room. You have to figure out a time of the day where no one's looking for you, where no one's going to reach you, even if it's early in the morning or if it's later at night, where you can dedicate an hour or 30 minutes consistently to pitching. The truth is, before you have a lot of clients coming for you, wanting to hire you to speak, you have to go to them. And so that means you need to be pitching the right people in your business. You need to be pitching the right people. So your schedule is a factor. The other factor is your competing demand. So this looks like husband, wife, kids, job, sleep, hobbies, activities. If any of you are on boards of external organizations like the Association of Educators, or you're involved in your ministry, all those competing demands. And your personal hierarchy of urgency is really important too. And I talked about this with those who attended the event, but you're going to need to make a personal hierarchy of urgency. How urgent, how important, how urgent, really, that's the best word for it. How urgent is it that your business grows? And you need to have a very clear idea of how urgent that is. And I was reading this book, Relentless by Tim Grover. I believe that's how you say his last name. And he's really intense, guys. So don't read it unless you're like super, super intense. But one of the things he talks about in the book is how pressure is actually really good. Nothing gets done about pressure. Pressure only becomes stress when it's unresolved. So what happens is, and I agree with this to a degree, when people put really harsh demands on your time, like the challenge, it's a 3-day challenge. We only have 3 days to get it done. It adds a level of pressure, not necessarily stress, but pressure for you to get it done in those 3 days. The reason why most people do not achieve all that they are aimed or set to achieve in life is because they don't add any pressure to themselves. There's no timeline. There's no urgency for getting things done. And so we kind of just coast with our goals. It's like, oh, I could get this done. I could not. You know, I could make more money this year. I could not. I could just sleep more. I could not, like, and there's this notion now that, like, if you work hard towards a goal, you're negating yourself. I don't believe that's true. The fact of the matter is, what I have learned in my life is when I was in my 20s, I could work much harder than when I'm in my 30s. And I imagine as I'm in my 50s, I won't be able to work as hard as I can work now. So my personal philosophy on work is that while my daughter is young, before she starts having all these activities to do, because I'm gonna be at everything, I need to get my stuff in order, get my business to such a place where it is able to run very well without me with recurring revenue. So I'm working to set that up now, working to land multi-year contracts with corporations now, so that later the company is in a position where I can either sell it or grow it without doing the same level of activity that I have to do now. I have pressure that I place on myself to get things done, not stress, but pressure. Because again, it ain't gonna be easy, but I can still do it with ease because it's what I'm supposed to be doing. So what we have to do individually as people who are go-getters is not think of all achievement on the same level. This year, you do not need to achieve every single thing with the same level of urgency. There are some things that if I achieve this year, they will pay off in 5 years. There are other things that if I achieve this year, it'll feel good now, but it may not have longevity. So when creating your goals for 2022, what you want to do is figure out, what do I need to achieve today that I can eat from in the next decade? And then put some pressure to those goals. All right, cool. So within the next 30 days, my goal is to blank. That's how you need to be approaching your goals. That's also why, for me, investing in myself, getting good coaching, doing all that stuff, it's not optional. It's urgent because I don't have time to waste. And figuring out what other people already know because I don't want to pay them is kind of a waste of time to me, which is why we all went to school. Like most of us went to school to learn information we could have gotten on our own, but it would have been, it would have taken more time. So let's talk about forming healthy habits. So number one, plan around your current habits, the things you do every single morning. For instance, you brush your teeth every morning. Let's say you decide to take the Speak Your Way to Cash course. You're like, all right, but I need to make sure I finish it because I buy all these courses and I never finish them. Well, you're already going to brush your teeth every morning. You're already going to get dressed every morning. You could play it while you're doing that. And it's just a part of your routine. So the way that you build new habits is, I don't know if it's called habit jacking, but that's how I think of it, habit jacking. So what are the things I already need to do every day? Plan around that. So like for me with my health goals, I know I want to talk to my girlfriend every day for an hour. Like we talk all the time. Like we talk business, we talk personal. We just don't, we're going to talk 3 to 5 times a week. So I get on my treadmill, I walk for an hour and I call her. I'm going to do it anyways. Why not put it together? So the same thing can happen for your business goals. What are the things you're going to do every day? You're likely going to take a shower every day. When I knew I needed to work on my mindset, I would listen to inspirational podcasts while getting ready for the day. Habit stacking. So look, you want to plan around your current activities. And then you want to set goals based on a timeline. And then you need to check in with that timeline consistently. Like every week, you should know whether or not you achieved what you wanted to achieve. You achieved your activity goals. So set your goals based on a timeline, which is why the 3-day challenge worked. In our academy, we're doing a pitch power hour every other week, where people just pitch for 45 minutes. And then there's like a template that we give them for each of the pitch power hours. And then you want to plan around your activity goals. So don't just plan around my revenue goals. Oh, I want to make X amount of dollars, because saying that you want to make a certain amount of money, like, it's cool, but that's not manifest. That's not how that works. I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, let me just put out a number that I want to make, and then I'll manifest it if I just look at it every day. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's how these people are doing it. That doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't operate like that. What I like to do is figure out, what do I want to achieve? What are all the activities it'll take to achieve it? Of that list of activities, how many of them do I need to personally do? And how many of them can other people do with the right instruction? And then from there, we work to achieve a particular goal. And if you don't achieve that goal, but you've done all those activities, we still take the win. I want to be really clear here. You could set all the activity goals, you could do everything consistently, and you may still not reach your ultimate goal. Unpopular thing to talk about, but it's true. And even in that, we're like, okay, cool. So we didn't reach our goal, but then we need to ask ourselves why. And most people set goals every year, they don't reach them, and they never inspect the why. So was our marketing effort directed at the wrong person, which is why it's great to pitch. But if you're pitching and you're not receiving any results, there's typically a framework issue there. There's typically a knowledge gap there that you need to figure out. Otherwise, you're pitching consistently and without any iteration on that pitching activity, meaning without the level 2, the version 2, the version 3, the version 4, and with someone giving you good advice as to why it's not working at a high level, you're not gonna get there. So it's not just doing things consistently. Sometimes you're consistent and it still isn't working, and you have to look at why that is. There's likely a reason. There's always a reason. So we look at that. We plan around our activity goals, and we look at that, because there are times when, we still don't reach what we want to reach. And then the urgency. You have to create the urgency around your goals. There needs to be a time frame. One of the things we're doing in the Academy this year is we're all taking a pledge to pitch $1 million worth of contracts while in the program. So most people are in the 3-month option. There's a 3-month and 6-month option, but we did that to create an urgency around the goals. We want people pitching and putting themselves out there, because there is a ripple effect that happens when you pitch consistently. And once you learn how to pitch, which is a part of your sales process, and Teresa, I got your email. My book actually talks about how to create your sales process. We go over a 13-point customer map. That's our sales process in the book. So I would recommend you check out that portion of it. It's in part 5, chapter 14 or 15. I think it's chapter 15 in the book. We talk about creating your sales process. So I developed my own sales process for that. I didn't read another book on it. So you need to create urgency around your goals. That's really important too. Really, really, really important. The book is awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so get help staying accountable. There's 2 options. A is like business bestie. This is someone who you're like, okay, this person can really help me stay accountable. I'm just going to check in with this person every so often. The only issue with this, because I've worked with people who've done this before too, they find someone else like a peer to help them, and the peer isn't necessarily ahead of where they're at. And so they're asking each other for advice, but they don't have the information to give each other advice necessarily. So that's the only downside with it. I think it's great for accountability. You just have to make sure that they have the skill set to give you advice. The second is coaching. So you hire someone to help you stay accountable. You get additional help. You get additional coaching. That is an option as well. So right now, in terms of coaching with me, we have the Academy, but registration is basically closed. We closed registration for the Academy. There was one person who we're still like allowing to kind of get in, 1 or 2 people. But you have coaching through the Academy. I do offer VIP days. Email me if you're interested in that. We do 4 a year. So we'll do 4 next year for VIP days. And then we have our course, which we are including for the first 15 people, a group coaching call in February, only for the first 15 people who buy it by the 1st of the year. So all the bonuses for the course do expire. However, if you let us help you and you do decide to do the course, then one thing I will say about this is it'll go over it'll go over some of the elements that you need. So we're giving you the pre-event prospecting party, who to pitch, what to pitch them, how to pitch them. It goes into even more depth, way more depth than the 3-day event that we just did. But with the 3-day pitching, pitch your way to cash session that we did, that with the pre-event prospecting party, I think you'll have a really good idea. The most important thing, though, is that a lot of people aren't pitching the right product. They don't have a framework that they're pitching. So even with really good pitching, that's going to be a big issue, is not having like a framework that people actually want to buy. And you have to understand, you want to understand when you're pitching to people, you need to understand what the market is willing to buy as well. That's a very, 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 very important piece of the puzzle. So let's talk about the specifics in the course. So for those of you who don't know, my VIP days are $25,000. The Academy is $20,000. This course is our only medium investment opportunity for you to learn from me about how we land 5- and 6-figure contracts and help clients to do the same. That, like, this is pretty much it outside of a VIP day. And so we wanted to put something on the market that's a little more accessible. And if you want to buy the course, but you're like, I want to finance it, we do have a financing partner. So just, you can put in the chat financing or funding. You can put in the chat funding, and then we'll reach out to you with our funding option so that you can pay for it over time. But that is an option as well. So goal setting for powerful speakers is really important. The Dreamers Den, this session was incredible as well. Mastering the corporate landscape. You definitely want to know how it is. You want to know what it requires to do business in corporate, how the corporations are set up. That's really important. Building out your framework. I talk a lot about framework development. It's a huge piece of the puzzle. It is a huge piece of the puzzle. And then Lael, if you can drop the link to apply for the coach financing link. It's on the Academy page. So hopefully you just go to the Academy page, click apply for funding, and then put that link in the chat so that they can apply for the funding. And then when you put it in the chat, I'll actually walk you guys through how to apply for funding as well. Pricing pathology. So this breaks down the anatomy of your pricing structure. You absolutely need to break down the anatomy of your pricing structure. So you need to know, you don't want to be, here's the thing. I'm going to say this to you guys because we're family. Now that no one's new anymore. Everyone's in the Speaker Ready Cash fam at this point. If you look cheap, your clients won't pay you. So, and what I mean by looking cheap is it has nothing to do with your physical appearance. It has everything to do with how you present your offers, which means you want to make sure your branding looks good. You want to make sure your language is right. You want to make sure you're not selling like a $20,000 speech, but then on the other hand, they can talk to you on the phone for just like $100. You want to make sure, like, you don't want to on one hand be a premium brand, but on every other end, you're kind of like a discount brand. And to be clear, nothing wrong with being a discount brand, but you got to determine where you're going to play. Because there are people who do very well by selling all very low cost products. Look at Walmart, like they're still a super successful company. And that is a way to go. But if you are going to position yourself as a premium brand, then you want to make sure that all of that makes sense. Money mindset. This is a big piece of it too. Can you sell a 6-figure package? Exploding your brand with TV exposure. One of the things that I'll say, the easiest way to look legitimate to a large corporation is by having a lot of media appearances that come up when they search your name. And to be honest, I've hired publicists, but I've gotten all of my TV appearances on my own. We've probably done 10 TV appearances at my prime. And during the Academy last year, I wanted to show them how quickly, using our process, you could get on TV. I literally sent out an email Wednesday and was on television within a week. I had 4 TV appearances booked within a week's time. And publicists are typically like, oh, it takes 90 days. It takes a lot of time. It does not. If you know what you're doing, it does not. So, I don't know why they have their own process, run their own businesses. But when I started hearing that from publicists, it's going to take me 90 days to get on TV and all this other stuff, I was like, no. So you need to learn how to pitch yourself. Even if you work with a publicist, the best thing you can do is tell them how to pitch you. They're not going to come up with something better than you will if you know how to pitch yourself. So developing a hot list of future clients, you're going to want to have a hot 100, a list of people that you're going to be pitching to, assembling your six-figure package. This one session of the course is probably worth like the entire cost of the course, because in this segment, we talk about licensing, pricing structures for licensing, executive coaching. We talk about how to do all those things for yourself and what that looks like. And you actually see me break down a licensing program that could result in 6 figures of revenue for one of the attendees as well. Really good session. Possibilities panel, you'll actually hear from my client who landed her 6-figure contract, as well as a few my other clients who went from like, and even the client landed a 6-figure contract. She literally tells a story of how she had not landed. She was paid negative $50 to speak before working with me, and now has landed 6-figure and multiple 5-figure contracts for her business. So that's a really inspirational story. And then my other client who's on here is also a coach this year in the program, Brittany, and she talks about how she was not being paid to speak at all. She was an educator, and then ended up pitching and going through another course that we had that didn't even have all the juice of this course, and landed 2 4-figure contracts. So she kind of talks about her speaking journey and how it evolved. Pitching to corporations with ease, more on pitching. We got to have that, because I want you all to understand you can go out and get the opportunities that you want. You don't have to wait for them to come to you. And the language lab, this is really good, because eventually you're going to have to get on sales calls with people who are decision makers at these companies and walk them through your framework, your process, and overcome their objections. That is what we cover in the language lab portion of the event. And then storytelling secrets, really good session on how to develop your brand story so that clients are connected to you. And then I'm giving you guys the VIP mindset mastery panel, which really just deals with like mindset and developing who you are as a person while also developing your business. And that panel includes me, Chris, my mom and dad. It was just a really powerful segment as well that I didn't even know we were going to give it out, but we are. So you're going to get all of this, plus you will get a pre-event prospecting party as well, which we're giving to you. And all of this was recorded live at Speak Your Way to Cash Live. It's our event we host every year. I do hope that all of you plan to attend next year's Speak Your Way to Cash Live. We'll release tickets somewhat soon. We're actually thinking of doing, I'll share this with you guys, a private shopping party. We're going to invite people to buy their tickets early. So it'll be an event that we're going to do for you all to get your seats early. But more details to come on that too. But that'll be invite only. We'll do something real special to launch the ticket sales. So you will get access to this as well. And the program itself is on licenses. So you can get a 30-day license for $3,500, a 60-day license for $5,500, or a 90-day license for $6,500. Those are your options. And if you get the 30-day license, no matter which license you get, even if you just get the 30-day license, you will be able to attend a live coaching call with me if you get your ticket by the 1st. And you can use discount code challenge. Use discount code challenge when you buy your course, and you get $500 off. So you can get a 30-day license for as little as $3,000 and still do that coaching call in February, that one coaching call. So expiring bonuses, all bonuses expire January 1st. So if you're going to do it now. Dion said, I'll be there. Yes, I cannot wait to see you again at the event. Insert challenge at checkout, get $500 off. The first 15 people also get a virtual coaching call with me in February. All of this, including the virtual coaching call, it has to all be purchased by the 1st to take advantage of any of these bonuses. So keep that in mind. Are there any questions at all about implementing the course, the event, working with us further? Let me know. And you can come off mute too. And I'm going to stop sharing for a minute so I can show you guys. I know people asked about funding, and we put the link in the chat. Let me see if I can show this to you. All right. So hopefully you all can see my screen. Here's what we'll do. For the funding, you would go to this link, and we can send it out via email as well to everyone who's interested. What you do is you click on this apply for financing button, And then your loan request, you would put in, like, let's say you're going to do the course, you get 500 off. So you would put in 3,000. Loan purpose, make sure you select other, and then you just put in your first name, last name, all this information. And then you press see my rates. You get an instant decision. So right after you put it in, within seconds, you'll know whether you're approved, and it'll show you all of your loan terms as well. So you'll be able to see like, okay, I'm approved. I can pay this off over a year. It's only like $60 a month. So that's what you can do. You can use this for anything. If you're on here and you're like, oh, well, I want to do the academy, for instance, and I got a pass to get in. All right, well, then you could put in the $15,000 for the academy, and then you would just put in other and go from there. So this is how the funding works. It's very simple. Once you accept the terms, it takes a couple of days for you to get it, but you can tell us like, hey, I've been accepted. I still want to get the bonuses, and we'll just extend them for you. As long as you're approved, you just have to show us a proof of approval, and then we can go from there. But that's pretty much it. That's like the simplest thing to do for our funding partner. And they let you, because we don't have payment plans, but they will. We don't have in-house payment plans for this course, but they have payment plans. This is the way you would get them, and it would go through a separate company. All right. So hopefully that answers the question. I think I see one comment. No questions here. Okay, great. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you for joining the challenge and everything else. Oh, also, if you attended the event, you're an event attendee and you want access to the recordings and you're not in the academy, let us know, because we will be sending out a special code for you guys as well to get your replays as well. All right. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you. Happy New Year, everyone. This is going to be amazing. I cannot work with so many of you. This is going to be great. I will talk to you guys soon.